Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and we're back for part 2 of the Mohrg. And I base coated him with a Brattle Cannon black, and then I just dusted him with a white. It wasn't a true Zenithal. I just kind of wanted to see what I could work with, and if this guy was even salvageable to walk into a part 2 with. And I've decided we're going to try it. I don't know if it's going to be great. I don't know if we can recover this guy's hideousness, but we're going to try. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of Snow White and a very, very soft makeup brush, because this is not a very sturdy mini. Okay. And I'm going to try to pick out any areas that we can use speed paints or washes to give color to. And I want to try to get a little bit down inside there, because we're going to have to start with the guts, the red guts. We'll come back and do the guts on his tongue later. They're coming out of his mouth, but we got to do this red in here first, okay? It's just the way that's going to go. I am not thrilled with this. This is not one of my better jobs, and I really am sorry about that. I'm going to set this off to the side. We're going to need this again. So now that we got him there, let's hit him with the hot air gun real quick on low and try to dry up that white paint. And let's get our red. And I'm going to use blood red for this. I'm just going to get a little piece of plastic here instead of getting a piece of tape out just to do this little bit of work. So I'm going to get my red, and I'm going to get my small brush. This is the Army Painter starter brush that I use a good bit. And let's get it in there and get these guts redded up. We're going to get some red on the ribs. That's just going to happen. There's not a lot we can do about that. Okay. Get in there and get his guts good and red. You're probably going to have to hit him from the back some, and that's okay. Like I said, we can come back in and wipe this stuff back up that we need to. Okay. I'm going to get the +2 hot air gun burning. You know what? We're not going to use this brush again. It's just going to be too hard to control. So I'm going to toss that in the water. +2 hot air gun burning. And let's try to see if we can't save this mini's day. One of the things I really hated about it, notice, is that his spine is like fused into a giant lump, like he's got something growing there, and there's no way to shove that in to look like guts. I don't think we can try it, but I don't know if it'll translate into guts. It'll probably translate into a bad crafting job. We're going to be honest, but I will come back here and try to fill some of that in. See if we can make it look intentional. And we'll hit the +2 hot air gun again. Alright, now we're going to get pink. And you can use any kind of pink. I don't think it matters drastically for what we're doing here. So I'm just using pink parfait. And I'm going to get a little dab of that. I'm going to put this away. I'm just getting the tiniest dab of this because we don't have a lot of work for this paint. Wipe a lot of it off. We're going to come back in and just brush some of the areas where pink is showing a little bit to lighten it up and give it some variation. Try to shove it in there a little bit and get it on some of the guts. Dry brush the tongue with it a little bit. Don't go overboard. Don't want to lighten it up too much. You just want to give it some variation. We're going to wash that brush. We're going to come back for that white we had. Okay. We're going to hit all the ribs. That white again. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just doing some cleanup work here. Too much water on my brush. It's going to get you every time. Try to collect some of that up if you can. But I think that's just going to make it pink now. Yep. We're going to come dry this off and do another coat. That's alright. Mistakes are made. We can fix them. There's also a piece of guts right there that needs to be red. I missed. Okay. +2 hot air gun on this guy, and then we'll go back in and repaint the white parts. Okay. That's a little pink still, but I don't think it's going to kill us on this next part. I'm going to just use my plastic here again, get another little clear piece of that. I'm going to get this color called Pallid Bone. I'm going to get a fattier brush. Okay. Let's hit him with a hot air gun and get a good idea where we're at. And I think we, even though the sculpt itself was kind of terrible, I think we can using that red speed paint, I think we can do a salvage job to an extent. Alright. Getting this really crappy brush. You've seen me use this before. I'm going to get some khaki. Not khaki, I'm sorry. Ivory. Okay. Just going to take that, get a dab of that, and get it all around on that brush. Then wipe a lot of that off. Hit the top of his head a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to come back with that red. In all the spots where there's just too much meat and it can't be bone, and in between the bones, we're just going to turn that all into guts to salvage as much as we can of this paint job. We want to get down inside there if we can. Just hit all the meaty looking possibilities with the red. I'm going to do his tongue a little bit more too. I decided I don't like that pink. Well, it's not a tongue, it's like his intestine popping out of him, but it's coming out of his mouth, so I'm calling it a tongue. Okay. Something like that. I'm not even going to mess with his eyes at this point. I'm going to get my medium brush, or my larger brush out right now. I'm going to get my favorite color in the entire world, pavement. And I'm going to give his base a work over. I mean, I am just super unpleased with this. Again, I don't even think I've ever run a Mohrg, nor do I ever have any intention to. This is not one of the enemies, definitely not one of the enemies that's making it into the final cut of Tomorrow Comes Doom. A lot of the enemies that made it into Tomorrow Comes Doom are things that have mythologically existed as a cryptid or as part of a polytheistic faith system, you know, like Greek mythology and stuff like that. So this guy's not going to make that cut most likely. I did do some pop culture kind of mythology stuff like zombies and stuff. I did change a little bit of the way they work so the rules were more fluid to work with a role-playing system for werewolves, for vampires, zombies. It's just different stuff changed. I do have both kinds of zombies. I have the Romero and the 28 Days Later zombies. I don't have the traditional Jamaican zombies, but I do have spells that can create temporary ones. So, I mean, I've made a bunch of templates that you can apply to things to make varieties of something. Like, how many different types of orcs do you need to have? Or can you just apply some different templates and a color change to an orc and get a different type of orc? So what I do is I have templates. They're called focuses, and it's the same thing that players have. You know, when you level up your character, there's no levels, there's no classes. You get something called adventurer points to spend, whether it be on, like, your 4 key abilities, or attributes as I call them, or your proficiencies, which is things like communications and hand-eye and stuff like that. And then you have your talents, which are kind of like D&D feats, really. And the focuses are just something that you can use to pick feats, that the talents that are not available in the standard design of the system. And they make you a little more specialized. And I did that because I I want people to be able to kind of build whatever they want. So you can never take any focuses or anything and just go through and build a character that can do tons of interesting and different things, and never go into any of those trees at all. Or, contrary to that plan, you could spend most of your points getting into focuses and doing very specialized tasks. The 3 focuses that are not super specialized are the caster focuses. One of them is like a nature magic. It's called shamanism. It's basically kind of a druid almost. One is called a arcanist or eldritch magic user, and it's kind of like a wizard or a sorcerer. And then I have the priest, which is a theologian, and they're kind of like your I don't know what you call it, your clerics. But there's no classes. It's just a focus that you study in and improve in as you go on. So there is the Mohrg. I am not super happy with them. I do need to go around the outside real quick. Black, around the outside. And I did cut a piece of my finger earlier. I need to pay attention to that too. 0 days without incident. Down here in the shop. In between videos, I did clean it up some, but I think I got something in it and it's hurting. All right. Let's look at the official reference art here in the book that ours does not resemble. It's just a skeleton with guts. Oh, there's some on the arms too, and coming out of the mouth. Okay, that's the official one. I probably should have just painted and added a tongue on that regular skeleton that I already had, but I didn't do that. So we made this Mohrg, and that's going to be our official Mohrg mini for the Dungeons and Dragons YouTube channel that we're all working on together. I'm so sorry, guys. This is dog shit. I am so sorry. But you know what? Hey. They can't all be good. I've had a couple bad ones before. We can always look back on the Aki era if we want to see something truly terrible. At least this one could be a little unsettling to some of the people at the table, right? So thanks for watching. Come back next time as we make a mummy on Dungeons and Doom Biscuit.